let's just jump right into what it is that a lot of people are going to be interested in, which is the priority scores. So we'll get it. I'll show you the layers after this. There's a link up here, and you can go right to the priority scores. And this brings you to the data layer. This is a single data layer. It's a vector layer. And the colors represent I just categorized the priority score. So highest priority is the high numbers, and lowest priority is the low numbers. We can certainly change the color. Now, this magnifying glass is a search box, so you don't necessarily just want to go clicking around on a map. You want to go to a specific location. So we'll go to New Market, since that's where I'm from. And I'm going to click on that watershed. And I get the priority score. It's the last number on the list. Okay, so I can zoom around. I can click on this one here, all right, and get the priority score. There is sometimes some waiting. It's a lot of data. I've got it running fairly fast. It renders pretty quickly, and a lot of the images are actually stored as they're cached on the server. But sometimes still, you do have to wait. So any polygon that you can click on, you can, again, get that priority score. Now, I was talking with Diane last night, and the clicking perhaps seems maybe a bit superfluous. And maybe when you zoom in to a certain zoom level and get close enough, we can just add labels of what that score is. That seems like that maybe is a lot more intuitive. So as you can see, it's fairly simple here. Any questions regarding this?
So this is the priority scores that came out of the original sub-watershed analysis?
As far as I'm aware, yes. Yeah.
Ultimately, we will get the, once the next one's completed, that'll be uploaded and replace this bit.
Or made available in addition to.
Yeah, maybe we
Right.
want to keep the sub-watershed.
Yeah.
Whatever the joint venture ultimately decides.
Yeah, Geonode does have temporal support, so you can add, we can assign a date, and then you can search layers by date or filter out. Now, there's really not enough data layers on here to really have to worry about that too much, but as time goes on and you add more data layers, that sort of thing does become more important.
Say Rose or Matthew,
Oh, yeah.
could you pass that microphone around so we can get these questions
Sure.
recorded?
Sure.
Is that turned on? So just flick it on.
Some other feedback that I got last night from Dan was that it is a little hard to see here, so you zoom in, and it's even worse on the projector maybe. Well, where am I? I don't know where I am. And that's an easy fix. We'll put on some state boundaries so that when you zoom in, everything isn't completely obfuscated by the priority score layer.
And so even when you're looking at the old assessment priority scores, I mean, one concept would to say, those are still valid to help you narrow down. So you get to the sub-watershed, click on that, know what its priority score is, and then there may be a new layer that gives you priorities at the catchment level within that sub-watershed. So, the fact that at this point it's only to the sub-watershed level doesn't necessarily mean that it won't still be a meaningful component when you're trying to search, within this area, what's the highest priority sub-watershed. Now you get to there, now within the sub-watershed, which is the highest priority catchment.
No other questions? Okay.
I think, Callie, you had asked for this early on. What can you do once you find the priority score? Can you print it out? Can you save it? That sort of thing.
Yes, so you can print it out. You can also download the entire layer in a variety of different formats, along with the associated metadata. And I see that Andrea just walked in, and so I will add for her benefit that I did talk about you earlier in your presentation because with regard to the fish habitat site, we can link to external services from here so that if the gold standard or some final product, the official data layer is to be hosted on the National Fish Habitat site, then we can link to that and not have to store it and run into all the versioning issues that you had explained before. So there's a download layer button right here, and you can get it in a variety of formats. Sure. Well, there's different image formats there: JPEG, PNG. You can get it as a shape file, which perhaps you're most familiar with is the Esri format shape file, or sometimes called a vector file. You can also get it as a KML, and viewing in Google Earth is the same thing. I don't want to click on that now because the plugin might not be installed, but if you have the Google Earth plugin for your browser, you can click on that and you can see this layer in Google Earth, which is really cool to look at, but maybe not all that practical and useful to actually use. Or as Excel or CSV, these formats don't have the geometry info, but you would get the tabularized data along with the watershed ID and the priority score, so depending on your application. And then there's also a download metadata button, and you can get this in these are standard metadata formats.
Can the town be added to that? In that tabular format? So like
the town?
I'm just thinking if someone like Newmarket.
Yes. All that would need to be done. So see this list here that I just brought up. These are the attributes in that data file. Mm-hmm. So all that would be needed is for us to update this data file with a new column. We'll add a new attribute that has town and whatever town that watershed falls in. It's not going to be a one-to-one match though because they're watersheds versus towns, but
right, and that's okay. The only reason I'm saying that is your average person isn't going to know their hot code or something, so
right.
you're going to search by your town or
that's
whatever
right,
you're
and
in.
see, yeah.
We could do a spatial join outside of this and then reinput the data.
Yeah. I mean, we could add
That's perfect.
anything that you really wanted to. There's other, as you can see, there's other attributes here, and I didn't create the layer, so I'm not sure of the utility of these various attributes, but it's easy to take them away or remove them and then just replace that data layer.
And one of the things that Matthew mentioned at the beginning is integration between the Eastern Brook Trout site and the Appalachian LCC site, supporting this and putting this forward, is that as I was getting ready for this conference, I went over and I was looking for and trying to pull together all of the information on the Eastern Brook Trout site on priority scores. The methodology that Jason, you helped, I think, to write at some point, where they came from, what ones are in this system, how do you find them. Those are all in the data tab now. You'll see in the next session, Diane's going to illustrate for you on the Eastern Brook Trout site. And also, back to Matthew's comment, in terms of integration, there will be linkages back and forth between the geospatial portal, certainly, and the Eastern Brook Trout site, Appalachian site. And hopefully soon more products from the AppLCC will be integrated in, and more decision support tools will evolve, and more data will be coming in from the LCC for, and I think, the future use of the brook trout.
Game show.
Thanks, Jay. Matthew, I was wondering if you might talk a little bit about the options for searching area, searching for a geographic location.
You mean in that search box right there?
I do,
oh,
yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Good question. So Yes, I clicked on this magnifying glass and I put in Newmarket, but this will take any geolocatable information, including zip code, town, city, or Latin long. So,
In decimal degrees or any format, Latin long.
decimal degrees, I actually haven't tried it. Do you want to try it?
Let's do it.
How would we specify that? And give me a lat long coordinate.
It's just a game show, see? Right?
I got a GPS on my phone.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it right here.
Let's have it do the same thing.
You simply put a state.
And you can put a state, yeah. So let's just put in Maine.
39 degrees.
So, yep.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay,
39 degrees. 30 minutes.
39, and then
30 minutes.
is that how do you specify it?
That's DEMM, so you need
Well, I thought he said decimal degree works.
Yeah, decimal degree works.
So you want to
Oh,
try
you're
it? You
trying
want
a
to try it?
different
You
one.
want to try it?
Okay.
a minute?
Yeah, we want to try minutes, but I don't know how to specify it.
I think just a space.
Just
Usually it's just
30, then the single apostrophe.
Just need some background clock music.
Like that?
I would just do a
No, 39, I would just, leave the minute.
Oh, 39 and then space.
Then
Space,
space.
and
30,
then
30 minutes. I don't know if it'll take the minutes. 47.76. Then comma usually.
And then is it a double? You know, you realize that this is the worst. Anybody who would give a live demo would say that this is completely ridiculous that I'm doing
That's
this.
what makes it so fun. 77 degrees, 55 minutes, 2.96 seconds. Will we end up in Shepherd's?
But I trust Matthew will get it to work, so.
Yeah, we can get it to work. Well, that looks like where we're at, doesn't it?
That's it.
Turn on the spatial. You have the satellite? Turn the satellite.
No, it's definitely not.
Wait, did you hit negative?
Oh,
He did not hit negative 77.
oh, negative. Of course, of course.
There we are.
All right, so it works.
We have
All
it.
right.
All right, so any geolocatable address info, including degrees, minutes, seconds.
Beautiful.
And now you know the format as well that needs to go in.
All Leonard wins.
Yeah, and that brought up another feature, which is that we do in fact have different base layers. I turned on the satellite layer. We've got the landscape. This is the OpenStreetMap landscape, and another version of OpenStreetMap. All right, well there we go. And terrain, and the satellite, and then this is actually my favorite, which is the watercolor one, which is cool. It's completely useless for anything, but if you just want to make a pretty picture, which is sometimes the goal, then this works pretty well.
And so you can save that pretty picture that you've made and share it, print it.
Yes.
So on
Yep.
and so forth.
Yeah. Well, you can print it, and you can download it. But when you download it, you're only downloading the layer. You're not getting the base layer as well. And I would like to actually add that. I'd like to get that so that the base layer can show up in that picture as well. That seems to be
At this point, to get the base layer, you have to do a screen capture.
screen capture or print.
So you could do like a
just print.
download map function, and that would have them all together.
Yeah.
Not the
Yeah,
base.
but not the base map. With the base maps, there's sometimes a variety of restrictions for base maps. Like Google Maps, for instance, doesn't allow you to print under if you're using it in the third party, or at least they used to. And so that's really why some of these features, you don't see some of these features not just here, but in other applications online that use maps, is sometimes they have limited functionality when it comes to printing or saving.
One of the reasons why we try to have this presentation in a computer space, may not necessarily work perfectly, was for everyone to try out and play a little bit with the priority scores and the riparian tool after Jason is done. But I am going to put up a discussion forum or discussion area post this conference so that people can continue to go in, explore the priority scores. What can you do? What can you figure out what to do? Certainly the little bit of the tutorial will be in there. And as you think about it, or as you have questions or future thoughts about it, that would be a good place to add that information. So this thing could grow so that it really is supporting you.
I may have missed this because I was fighting lunch, but did you say the watershed was broken down into like catchments and patches and all that as well, or just watersheds?
For this,
This,
you're talking about just the prioritization numbers here?
Yeah.
At this point, it's just a sub-watershed, because we haven't even got to the next step of the catch basin.
Is that a goal, though?
Yes, as soon as we get it done, it will be implemented in.
We saw that the priority scores were segmented into protection, restoration, but here they're just listed as a number. Can you sort of explain how we unpack that?
Being way in the back and not necessarily seeing everything that's in the box that comes up as far as the data goes, but the priority scores do not change regardless of what the status of the subwatershed is. It's the same priority score. So in that dialog box, as part of the data tells you what the classification of that subwatershed is, whether it's intact, reduced, or extirpated. That's when you know what that priority score is associated with. So if you're just looking at a reduced subwatershed, that priority score would tell you. But the number itself, as far as I know, doesn't change for that subwatershed. It's just you have to look at the status of that subwatershed to know whether it's protection, enhancement, or restoration.
any other questions? Anyways? Okay, so from here I went to the data layers, and these are all the various layers that are currently in the system. And the first few layers, solar gain, elevation, these are used in the RPCCR tool, which we should probably get to sooner rather than later. We don't want to run out of time. But as I scroll down, you can see that there's the NHD plus data layers and the watersheds, and here we have the habitat patches. Various land use classification, more watersheds. We have boundary layers, ecoregions, and other water databases, hydrosheds. I don't know if you use the hydrosheds data, and also the minor lakes, the GLWD data. So, and each one of those you can go to and download the data.
Can you open one map?
Yes. Let's go to
So while you're doing that, as it stands right now, anybody can go in and look at this stuff, because I'm in it,
yeah.
but I can't see any of the layers.
Yeah.
Those ones I didn't give
Yeah.
permissions on because
Oh, so
they're
you
not
can only see
validated.
them, okay. I just want to make sure.
Oh, is that? Well, I'm
I
not
didn't-
signed. Oh, is that why? Yeah.
But I didn't, in the permissions, I did not give access to it because at this point, it's just in phase one. So
Yeah, it's not load. It seems to be loading.
that's probably what I would have to be logged in. to see
Maybe.
that one.
Let's just go to a
'Cause
simple
I
one.
uploaded. Oh, you can't see any
Be able to
layers?
see the priorities?
Go up. Are you at the top?
There is a one problem.
Go back.
I'm having problems loading it too. There is a problem, which is that I don't know how many of you out there are actually hitting the site right now, but I've not tested it with 20 people hitting the site, and so I did actually inform Rose at the beginning that might come up as an issue. But I just poked at the server right now, and it's fine. So.
Here in Explorer. Open up.
Oh, see, that's
For anybody that
and
open it
then-
on Explorer,
Yeah.
please close it and open it in
Yeah,
Chrome.
the other thing is on older versions of Internet Explorer,
Or Firefox or Chrome, both work.
I've tested on Firefox, I've tested on Chrome, and I think that it also does work on the latest Internet Explorer. So if you have an older version of Internet Explorer,
If you have 8, you're probably out of luck. Internet Explorer version 8.
so now let's go back to that. Let's go back to that habitat patches here. Oh, there we go, so, Jason. So that does load. I might have actually changed the permissions on it and just made everything publicly available.
Nobody download any of the data.
You're in a layer at this
Yeah.
point, and so what
So,
do you do in a...
yeah, so I'm in a layer right now, and the features are exactly the same as with the priority scores. So we can zoom in, we can click on any one of the polygons, and you can click on it again, and you can get the attributes from that polygon. Jason can probably explain what all these cryptic numbers mean, because I certainly do not know what they
Those
mean.
are all the things that we went over this morning. So the code.
Yeah, they
the
kinda
number
look
of
familiar,
catchments, the area, and then it's the patch composition. So it's the attribute table.
And you can also search here and flip through your base layers, just like with the priority scores.
Now,
So,
Matthew, when you get into the maps tab,
yes.
the one thing should be noted inside of the
We'll
maps
go to
section
maps.
as it currently stands, and because we're just showing this for the first time and demonstrating the riparian tool for the first time, Paul Leonard is here, and we haven't yet even begun to talk to Eastern Brook Trout about policy for how one would get a login, or who can do what, or what can you do without a login versus a login. And one of the things I believe, Matthew, is you can come in here, the layers are in there, the data's in there, and you can, in fact, create a map. You can print it out or download it, but you can't save it unless you have a login. Is that true?
That's right, yeah. Yes, maps, as I said before, I explained maps is actually collections of data layers. We're looking at one now. It's not styled very well. I just added, you can see which layers it uses right here. It uses the boundary layer, the priority scores, and the habitat patches. I just put it together for demonstration purposes. You can view the map in a full screen GIS. I wasn't really planning on showing you this today, but we can certainly go and do this. But this is the full screen GIS system. So from here you can, without going into it, because we really do need to get to the riparian tool, you can change styles and you can add additional layers, and you can actually also make some database queries down here to the underlying data. So any other questions? Because if not, I'd like to go into the riparian tool. This is the, yes.
No, I was just going to add, when you said you could add other aspects in terms of the analysis.
Yes.
So the issue is that this is a platform that is shared, as Rose said, with the Appalachian LCC. So all of the data products and research that we deliver. So, for example, the energy model build out and all those data sets, would be accessible. So that sort of thing, that when you want to start adding research or our cave karst formations, hydrological data, you can augment that with the data sets that we're funding and providing.